Hi everyone, and thanks for checking out my channel. I'm going to do the quick midweek review of the markets and see how we go with a couple of commodities, crude oil, not gas, platinum and coffee mainly, as I don't really have a lot to look at for any other commodities just right now. So let's start with WTI. So we had that move to the downside that was rightly anticipated following another test of that trend line on the 4 hour chart. So it was exhaustion, rejection quite sharp on 49, then a drop was quite significant, and then we reached the at least one partial target for that move. So it could still be moving lower, but in the short term, believe we're going to retrace and potentially make a double top or something like this, like in the 49.50 area, before we might potentially move lower and clear that divergence. But it will be at play, and of course we had that rising wedge with that support trend line running at the bottom here that got broken. So we are revisiting that level now. And yes, we will see how we go. It's potentially that we're going to close that gap at 49. I think it seems quite likely. We broke above 48 again. So yeah, I think for now there's no reason to believe it will stop there. But of course, as we move here, we're gonna look at that trend line on the RSI that should cap the price to the downside. So yeah, a move to 49 in my opinion is likely, but I wouldn't expect a move to push much higher. Look at natural gas that did break significantly today, did clear up the divergence we had. I think the one on the 1 hour, I believe. It's actually coming low, but from that sort of rising wedge we were in here, we did actually go back almost to the origin of this at and closing the gap properly at 260. Now this is it's been working as a support before, as we can see here, so it might actually hold further fall from here. Of course, if we keep moving to the downside, then the next stop is 255. That should be small support, but the main one I'm waiting for is 238, where it did actually bounce last time. Of course, from a divergence point of view, we had that I think it was the 4 hours, it was maybe the one actually. Yes, we got that divergence coming from here on the 1 hour. That did actually trigger that move to the upside. So now we reached the clearing point here at 2.75, which was the reason why I was accumulating short here, as the potential to the upside was limited, of course, above 280. So yeah, I believe now we're going lower. 238 seems to be a short-term target, quite reasonable. But if we look and zoom out the bigger picture, then we're still having that green line. That's the origin of the large gap from 2.1 to 2.78, the rollover gap that will likely fill. So except if we're having major change in the weather for January, February, which is not the case yet, then I believe we're going to revisit 2.15 somewhere there at some point. So of course it might not go that fast, it might actually bounce a bit on 2. So yeah, very likely some bounce to that trend line once again, potentially 260, and then drop finally to, let's say, 220 by the time we get there. But we're talking here about January at some point, and we could see here some potential bottom, or at least some buy opportunity, at least to play some break outside of that channel. So yeah, we'll see that, but short term I think it's going down, quite obvious with today price action. There's absolutely no buying in that area, so let's wait for the reaction at 238. Moving on, platinum, as I believe we're having some interesting development here. We had a rejection and false breakouts when it did actually go above 1020, and since then the price been moving around that pivot quite a lot. We've seen a major drop with the last strain of COVID-19 that came and dropped to 930, got bought back very sharply, forming some morning star. That's a very bullish formation in my opinion, and because we are in that such a big figure. It was difficult to trade really because that false breakout was actually tripping many, as it did actually retract below the waterline, which is not usual, and even dropped much lower to 930. So at this point I decided to go long again, as we're having some sort of a triangle forming here, and if we look at the pole here and on the breakout, we are looking now at the 1200 target that was originally what I thought would be the price short term, but of course we're still looking at on the break to 1460, 1450 target. This is basically the bottom or the height of the cup here. So yeah, let's see how we go that time. Of course I will not insist on that trade should we actually break lower than that trend line here, so that's sitting basically below 900, but I think that trade is pretty much safe. Keeping it positional, it might actually bounce between the support at slightly below 1000 should we actually exit that triangle from the bottom, but we could still have something like this, potentially having a move there and something like this that is still forming some sort of flag with below 1000 should be solid support. And finally, looking at coffee. Coffee had some interesting price action as well, as we did originally do some significant or similar breakout that we done for Palladium, then move back down to another trend line again to see the price moving up again. So we're forming now some sort of a triangle here. I should resolve reasonably quick, potentially by tomorrow or at next week, possibly as well, for some breakout potential here. So we'll be watching this very carefully. Of course, there's quite a risk to the downside as well, as if we look at the bigger picture, say on the 4 hours here, it's a bit more obvious. We're having that large cup and handle that's still valid, but we can still drop reasonably to 116 and even go drop lower at 108 without invalidating the compression we are actually making into the 130, 135 zone for potential major break to the upside at a later point next year. So yeah, a bit tricky to trade at the moment. I wouldn't accumulate too much on that point, but potentially the breakout could be interesting, but I think the very big breakout is above 135. Should we actually get some price action above that level, should actually start moving much higher, but of course we are not there yet, and I think it will be for next year. So yeah, that's all about for tonight. Wish you safe trading. I won't be making videos in the couple 2 weeks. We're starting first week of January, I think on the 4th. Thanks for following my channel. If you join during the year, much appreciated. So I'm doing this because I like technical analysis, and of course if it can help someone, that's even better. And all your comments has been welcome. So yeah, anything you want to ask or question, send me an email, put a comment under the video. And again, thanks a lot for watching, being part of that channel, and I hope to see you around next year. Wish you Merry Christmas, all the best for the end of the year, and of course for the coming year. Speak to you soon. Cheers, bye.